good morning, YouTube viewers, and good morning to the viewers that your YouTubers share these views with and these topics. Um, Today, for all of us, is going to be today is a life-changing day. And this life-changing day will determine what's taking place for the rest of our lives and for that of our children and the future of the children. But there's one thing today that we're going to discuss that, no matter who is elected into office, one thing is going to remain the same. One person didn't cause this world that we live in to be in the chaos that it is. It wasn't one person. And that's what we like to do as people. We always like to look outside of ourselves. So today's topic is why most people, they don't want the truth. Most people don't want the truth. And I'm going to explain why by using the story that we're all familiar with. We're all familiar with the New Testament. We're all familiar with Jesus Christ and his travels. But here's a story that, most religions, they're not going to focus on this story because it tells what the mindset of the world that we're living in today. And this is where Jesus is walking with his disciples, and they come upon this city or a village in this valley, and people, as they get as they're making their way towards this valley, this village, people were coming out, and there was there's two demonically possessed men, and they're angry, they're harming people, and they're just causing chaos. So Jesus and his apostles, they head on. Those are his companions. They're on their way. They got a specific place to where they're going, and they're on their way. And so these guys, they come up. He doesn't walk up to them. They walk up to him, and they're like, Son of God, what have you to do with us? So long story short, he removes these demons. So once he removes these evil spirits from these two men, there's people who saw this, so they watched this. So they run back, and they're running to the village, and they're like, hey, there's a guy, crossing over there on the other side of the valley, and he removed those evil spirits from the two men who were over in the tombs, causing all the problems. So the villagers, they go and they confront Jesus, and they're like, hey, you need to leave this area. You need to leave this village. You need to leave this region. And, Jesus just goes. He carries on. He's like, hey, they don't want me here. I'll continue to go. So why this story is so important is because Jesus hadn't even had that on his agenda. They had no plans of stopping in the place where they were. So, it wasn't a destination spot, and I want you to, remember that. So this was no coincidence. Everything that Jesus did, he did because he knew, things that would take place, and he knew things that he could alter the things that were going on in different places, different area, whether it had to do with people. He had an impact. His message was love, and he shared love. So, these men knew him as well as he knew them. So this takes out that it was a coincidence. So he cast out the demons. And when he cast out the demons, he asked, who are you? So he was talking to the spirits that were inside of them. And they said that they were many, not one, not two, many. So, if these spirits ran into 2,000 swine and ran over this mountain, there was a lot of evil in those two people. So the other people who watched it, you know, they, you would have to think that the other people would have came up and said, hey, you know, there's people, you know, in our village, can you help them as well? So I want you to remember this too, because the people didn't talk to Jesus after that. They ran straight to the village because what they experienced was something that they had never seen before, something that they had never experienced before. So remember this. So again, to say that this was no coincidence, Jesus knew how that village was going to react before they even went out there to confront them. He knew this. This is why that was not a destination stop for him. It was not. So in order for us to say, we can look at this two ways. We can say, you know, well, it was only a couple of people from the village that went out there. Now, wait a minute. Now, we live in a land right now where news travels fast. So as this news is traveling fast, we also know that that if there were crippled people, if there were handicapped people, if there were people with physical ailments, these people would have said, hey, I put all things aside and I want to go and I want to get healed. So these people didn't want that. You know, these people were clearly evil, and they clearly did not want him in their village. And we live in that today, you know, where, you know, we live in a time where, you know, it's so much evil that the evil outnumbers the good. So what Jesus did with this village, or in this region, was he showed them something that was undisputable, something that they could not come up with an excuse for, to say, hey, well, I never saw love, so therefore, you know, I live this way because I didn't see anything better. And we live this today because if you look in trials, they always say, you know, what a person went through, and, you know, the fact that, you know, they went through this is why they did it, so, you know, we're not going to incarcerate them or bring them to the full extent of the law. They always want us to understand why these people should get away with being bad. So what the Bible also doesn't say in this story is that, what if those people were all possessed, all had those evil spirits in them, and Jesus knew this, and they just made a choice. They made a conscious choice to say, hey, this is what we want and you're invading upon it. Leave us evil people alone. Let us be with our evil. So Jesus had no reason to heal somebody who did not want to be healed. And that's important again. You know, he did not heal someone who didn't want to be healed. You know, you had to want to be healed. But for the two men that he healed, he did that to show love, to show compassion. And it was that love and that compassion that he showed, is the love and compassion that those people can no longer hide behind, that they've never experienced this before. So my final thought on this, and what we should walk away with on this and in this regard for this subject, is that today's world is changing from the values of yesterday. Morals and values are being replaced with conditions and availability, which is a really sad thing for the future. It's a sad thing for the youth that are coming up, because morals and values are gone and they're being replaced. And it's not their fault. We have to look within ourselves. We have to look at the people that were in that village who ignored everything. As long as they had two bad, evil people that they could point at, they never had to look at, you know, the evil that they might have in themselves. So we live in that. And that's another reason why most people don't want the truth. So we are good people. Some of us are good people. Most of us are good people. But what I took from the story is that these people did not want change. They did not want better. So again, it looks at how we look at today, where people will post things about all happiness and all love, and and then behind closed doors we're evil. We can do bad things, and especially when the word no is presented, when a person can't get their way, and then we hold on to things, and then we get angry with people because they walk away from what's evil. So that's where we come in, that we'll always be attacked. We will never have that peace. So the peace that we have to have is the peace and love that we have within ourselves. And Jesus showed that he was light. He brought light into a place that was so dark that light can never be. They can say, oh, a man passed through here and this is what he did. That's just a myth. But again, there's no excuse, because if you know that something is there or something may have been there, then it is possible for love to exist. It is possible for good to happen. And we see that because there are people out here that are doing, good, and they want nothing of it, and they go under the radar. And that's another reason for this cast, is because I want to bring that and start to shed light to people, to us, about those people who are doing things under the radar and want no reward for it. So lastly, most people who don't want truth, most people who don't want, who are happy with the way things are, they've created a matrix in which they live. So even though we live in reality, we close ourselves off to what's really going on. And this is what a matrix is. It's a false reality. And that false reality leads to a false self. So we create these realities to suit our strengths and not our weaknesses. We put on our best face, although we have many faces. Our compassion and our joy, not our sadness or shame. So if we are not in touch with who we are, and we can't say, hey, I'm just not happy today, or I don't feel the best that I feel, but then I'll show the world that it's something different, then we close ourselves off to any kind of blessings that there is, because originality is something that is surpassing us, and truth is passing us. And with this, lastly, I want to say that I have another topic that's coming up on the studies that they've done as far as what the internet and our youth, what they see, and you'll be shocked at what goes on. So we can continue to say, hey, not my kid, and hey, as long as I have a roof over my head, I'm okay. It's a false reality if we really are in this all together. So let's wake up and let's look at who we are, instead of being like that village that when they had a chance to look to say, hey, we might just be bad, and this person who can heal us, he might just see it and refuse it. So let's not be those people, and the ones that are watching this, I know that this is not who we are, so this is why we're here. And I want to say, to everyone, be safe at the polls, and to be safe, period, because there's a lot of tension going on today. And with that, I want to say, everyone, have an awesome day and peace. Oh, I got the new camera coming. It is on the way. So we're going to have the interviews they'll be here. We'll have interviews before the holidays. Matter of fact, I think I'm going to have 2 or 3 interviews before Christmas. So, we'll bring all that stuff in before the holidays, and, we'll get some positivity, continue with the positivity. But let us continue to be strong. Let us continue to stand, and we count it all joy, that we are authentic, because if we weren't authentic, we'd be like everyone else. So with that, I want to say peace and blessings. Good morning.